All right, Tuesday night, 5 p.m. in the East. You know what that means. It's time for another all-new edition of What Are Your Thoughts? This is the longest-running show on the Compound YouTube channel. I think this predates the Animal Spirits video, right? It must.
Yep.
Okay.
2018?
Right. Yeah.
19?
Guys, we got to tell you, we appreciate the love so much. The views on this channel to start the year have just been absolutely titanic. You guys are awesome, and we got a full chat tonight. We got the live gangsters are all here, all my compounders. Debbie Dantes is here. Rick G, Michael Griffiths. Somebody asked an interesting question. If you're a Giants or a Jets fan, do you now root for the Bills? I think you root for the Bills if you're a football fan, because you want to see Detroit Buffalo is that's a classic sort of Super Bowl. Isn't that the right answer to that?
Well, I don't know.
Great
Rooting
answer.
for, you think people? You just fucking make it shit up. People are rooting for the Bills just because what? Because that's a nice Super Bowl.
Because Josh Allen. If you don't get Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen is probably the best replacement for him.
Have you heard of the MVP, Lamar Jackson?
Yeah, I don't know if that. I think he's awesome. I just don't know if people get as excited for that. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Does Lamar Jackson get MVP without Derrick Henry, making it so everybody has to focus to the left or the right of him every down?
Let's move on.
All right. I want to mention that tonight we have a very special sponsor. It's a new sponsor. Michael's going to tell us all about them.
Not new to me.
New to me.
So FM Investments had this really great concept. Hey, what if you could just buy like this part of the yield curve inside of an ETF? Who wants to deal with like government websites and pain in the butt ways of buying treasury bonds? Boom. You want the 10-year? You got the 10-year. You want the 3-month and the 6-month? You got it. And now they're launching some new credit series products. Really interesting. They nailed the timing of this product launch. And so check them out, FM Investments.
Wait a minute. So the downside is limited.
No. It's not. There's something like that. What do you?
Okay. So how does this work exactly? Give me like the elevator pitch.
Okay. The elevator pitch is this: if you want access to the 10-year, not just like a 10-year that might have been issued a couple months ago or a couple of years ago that's going to mature. If you just want to buy the 10-year bonds, you could do it inside of an ETF or whatever maturity that you're looking at. That's the pitch.
Okay. Oh, I like that.
Love it. It's a good idea.
So it's a new idea. It feels like it's something that people should have invented prior to now. But,
well, dude, 5 years ago, there's no interest rates. Who cared?
All right. Hey, if you guys want to learn more about this, go to fminvest.com. You can read all about how it works. You can read all the disclaimers.
And Ben and I have had Alex Morris on the pod multiple times talking about this. If you want to learn more, Google Animal Spirits, Alex Morris, FM Investments.
All right. Very cool. So tonight, tonight we do have to mention that, let's start with this. So we normally stay far away from covering natural disasters or geopolitical events or school shootings or terrorist acts. We did talk a lot about COVID because it like fed into the markets, but we weren't like every night reporting on like the horrific aspects of it, the death count, the infection count. Like we don't do that. The way that we've always thought about the compound is that we stay in our lane. We talk about what we're experts in or the things that are relevant to investing. And you guys have a million places to get news. So we're not CNN. We're not 60 Minutes. So we try to give you an escape, I guess. But the story over the last week and a half, 2 weeks, and you can't take your eyes off of it, are the wildfires out west. It is. I was talking to my brother who lives in Calabasas, and basically, you know, from his perspective, this is like Los Angeles' 9/11. It is just probably going to go down in history as one of the costliest disasters. We have 24 people dead, 30-something people still missing. We've got people who are going to be displaced for months, if not years, and an entire way of life in a couple of these towns just completely over. And it's not clear what the rebuilding is even going to look like. but it'll never be the same. So we are going to talk about it a little bit at the outset.
I
Michael,
saw some data on this
Yeah.
in terms of like the scale of the impact. So 19,000 acres, which is 31 square miles, 5,000 plus structures, and almost 70,000 people are like directly impacted by this. Like live in the areas.
It's so big. This like the scale of this disaster, because the nature of it is wind blowing the disaster from one roof to another.
So you were explaining this to me the other night. This was completely foreign to me that they have like these high winds there.
They haven't had a substantial rainfall in LA since May. So they had a really rainy spring, and then they had a bone dry summer. And what that ended up producing was an excess of vegetation, which then dried out. And so that's like basically just kindling. And then you get these Santa Ana winds. And what they're doing now, because they're back on alert, is the utilities are voluntarily shutting down their equipment so that something doesn't spark and start this all over again, which means you have hundreds of thousands of households and structures without power right now. Some because the equipment in their area has been burned to the ground, and some because they're trying to prevent it from happening and have a fourth and a fifth fire. They haven't even put out the fires from last week yet fully. They've contained them, but they're still raging. So it's not over. It's unlike a hurricane that blows itself out in a day or two. This is like a lingering disaster, and it's not clear that we've seen, hopefully we've seen the worst of it. But it's a financial story, which is why it's relevant to us. Every bit as much as it is an investing, a humanitarian crisis. And I want to point to this Wall Street Journal piece because I think this really gets to the heart of why it's a financial story. Basically, they profile the title is "Their Wealth is in Their Homes. Their homes are now ash." And they profile people who are like regular people, not Steve Gutenberg, not movie stars, who basically like most of their net worth is the house that they happen to have bought. And that house has appreciated substantially along with all other real estate in the last few years. And now it's zero. So let me just give you the opening, Michael, and then I want to get your reaction. Sylvia Sweeney and her husband, Bob Honeychurch, great names, bought their 3-bedroom home nestled in the foothills of the San Gabriel Valley for $780,000 in 2009. At the start of this year, it was worth more than double that, $1.6 million by one estimate. Sweeney is 69 years old, worked at a church. Like these are not high-flying celebrity people in the Pacific Palisades. These are amongst the thousands of people who just their entire net worth evaporated along with the place they live. It's like a double penalty to wake up to that reality. And I don't know, man. This is a lot of people, and the Journal profiles all sorts of people who are in this situation.
Yeah, Ben and I were talking about this on the pod today, that there's a big difference between the stock market and the real estate market in the sense that the top 1%, the top 0.1%, right? Because they're founders, they own the majority of the shares, they own the stock market effectively, right? And the crumbs for the rest of us. With real estate, it's not like that. Like to your point, these are not all Hollywood celebrities. These are regular people. Some have been there for 20, 30, 40 years and more. And to see your home wiped out, I mean, you can't put yourself in that situation. It's hard to imagine what these poor people are dealing with. So I don't know where they go from here. I know that there is like obviously a shortage of housing, so it's a nightmare. I don't really have many profound words. It's just an absolute fucking nightmare.
Yeah, there's a 77-year-old woman in the piece. She was told that insurance would cover $800,000 to rebuild and $12,000 a month in rent. She's like, I can afford a $2,285 monthly mortgage payment, basically. So $800,000 sounds really generous from an insurance company until you realize that's probably not going to go far in the Palisades area. Like that's not that. It sounds like a lot of money if you live somewhere else. If you live there, it's almost like a punchline to be able to rebuild something from scratch. And so they say the typical home in the Palisades is worth $3.4 million. Maybe not anymore, obviously, because the community has been decimated. But it's just, it's as messed up as a situation. And then, where do you live?
Right.
So we have an advisor in Southern California, Michelle, and she's got obviously a ton of clients in that area. And it's a combination of people staying with family or hotels. If you were lucky enough in the early days to find an Airbnb, great. Most of those are now taken, and for huge dollar amounts. And there are people out there that don't care about the money because they could back it up, but most people can't. So that's like a whole other issue, is like, where do you even go if you don't have a family member that's got a house in the area? There's a limit to how many hotel rooms there are. So you hear stories now about people's kids started school yesterday, Monday morning, in an entirely different district, just wherever would take them. Imagine being an 8 or 9-year-old being sent into a school where you know no one just because you need to be in school. So there are like a lot of aspects to this that are just, you've never had to think about these things.
Right.
They're sort of it's like sort of unimaginable.
No, it's 100% unimaginable. Our friend Dave Mazza lost his house and his school. So his kids are going, to your point, it's like, what, how do you, I don't know how these people begin to pick up the pieces of this and figure out a way forward. It's beyond words.
It's another interesting aspect of this. The Journal's got a chart showing the median home ownership tenure by city. And of all the major cities, Los Angeles has the highest, meaning people stay with their houses in LA. I don't know if that means the lowest turnover. I don't know if that's quite the same thing. But Los Angeles is 18.7 years. And the next highest is San Jose at 17.8. Then San Francisco at 16.7. So comparably, Vegas is 8 years. Tampa is 9. Miami is 11. New York City is 15. So people tend to keep their houses in California and not move around all that much. So this is like a double shock for people who have been in one place their whole lives, and that place is no longer going to be inhabitable. I wanted to talk about the insurance stocks for a minute. One of the weird things about these types of natural disaster moments, and I see people, Jerry Gould's talking about Sandy. That was sort of our miniature version of this back in 2012. One of the weird things is that the first thing that happens in the property casualty insurance stocks is they crash or they fall, because obviously they're going to owe a lot of money. But then sooner or later, they come back hard. And there are 4 main reasons for why the property casualty insurers have such an obvious comeback. The first is increased demand. So natural disasters lead to more people looking for more coverage, which of course allows insurers to raise premiums. The rate increases after a catastrophe. It's like one of the biggest no-brainers that everyone is able to charge more and justify why they're charging more. Pricing power is long-lasting, doesn't go away after a year. People still, where we live, talk about Hurricane Sandy, and flood insurance, which is a big thing in the town that Michael and I live in, is mandatory. And then the last thing is underwriting improvements. Catastrophic events prompt insurers to refine their own risk assessments and their own underwriting practices, which leads to better long-term performance. So basically, they don't have to model a crisis anymore. They live through one, and they know exactly how to underwrite as a result of that. So typically what happens is these stocks end up becoming, I would say, intermediate-term winners once the checks have been paid out and the hit to earnings has happened. The last number that is out there is like a $20 billion cost, which would make this the costliest wildfire event in U.S. history. I'd probably take the over, knowing absolutely nothing. It just seems like we don't know how much the damage is yet. So if that's the number that they have out there, it's probably too low. The 3 publicly traded insurers with the greatest exposure in the state: Allstate, Chubb, and Travelers. State Farm is there, but not public. let's put up Allstate. I don't know. Did it bottom for the crisis yet, or is that the head fake bottom?
We'll find out, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. So for me, it seems early, but let's do Chubb. They all have the same chart, guys.
I mean, they were aggressively bought in the last 2 days. Again, I hate to like make it about these stocks, but that's what we're talking about.
Yeah. Here's Travelers. All these charts are the same, and maybe this was the bottom, or maybe this is the trapdoor bottom, and there's a lower bottom a month from now. But these should be on a value investor's radar, just given how much market cap they've given up relative to what the future opportunity will be as they're writing policies in California, assuming they stay in the market.
Yeah. Well, and then there was a lot of hemming and hawing, of course, about the insurance companies dropping the homes because of the regulations in place and how much they are able to increase premiums. And they said, well, the math doesn't math, so we have to pull out. And now there's all these poor people who are left uninsured. It's just it's. So
I don't know if that's a Gavin Newsom thing. I obviously wasn't following that story before this all happened, but there legislatively they put a cap on how much you could what premiums you could charge people for insurance in the state, and there's a formula. And State Farm said, okay, there's 1,000 policies in the Pacific Palisades area that we will not renew when they come up based on that cap, because the level of risk that we're assuming doesn't add up.
So what happens if these people didn't pick up other insurance? So they just like completely
the state has to provide. So in California they have a FAIR plan, and this is no different from where we live. A lot of the insurers don't want to renew the houses that are on the water in the wake of Sandy and other flooding episodes. So the state has to have like a backup insurance plan. It's a mess, dude.
Yeah, it's a mess.
And you know, what's really interesting is like I don't feel like the country has come together over this one, based on what I see online. If you go on Blue Sky, you basically have people talking about climate change, and we told you so. If you go on Twitter, they're talking about DEI, and they're pointing out that the fire chief is a lesbian and the mayor is a diversity hire, and it's just like, can we not fucking do this, guys?
Yeah. Like,
can we wait to have the climate change versus DEI debate until everybody that's missing is found?
Yeah, it's the
ugliest, the fires are out.
It's the ugliest part of the internet is when shit like this happens. It's just like immediate mud flinging.
But I guess, so there was no Twitter after 9/11. But I guess I just can't pick. Maybe I'm dead wrong, and the red team versus blue team stuff would have been just as prevalent as it is now. Maybe I'm wrong. I just don't think it was that way 25 years ago. I think it's worse now. And you would think after a tragedy, that's the moment where people stop saying the grossest thing that comes to their mind. But I guess we didn't have that now.
I don't know, man. I think if this is fucking dark, but if Twitter was around back then, there'd be people like, well, we were warned. We ignored the warnings.
Oh no, you would have like pro-terrorist marches in New York City. Like you would have like people fully like, yeah, this is great. I'm glad this happened, because we had that last year. So we know that exists, and Twitter surfaces it in a way that it just did not exist in 2001. All right. Now that we've put everyone in a great mood, let's move back to. Oh, I wanted to mention we have a friend, Jason Lahita, at Street Cred PR, who reps us, and Jason is a resident of the area, and they lost the school and the house. Or his house is okay? What was the last thing that we heard about?
I don't know.
All right, it's a wreck. Anyway, Nicole is just put in the live chat. There's a GoFundMe that Jason has launched. It's going directly to the California community. I forget the full name of the organization, but it's going right into supporting recovery efforts and people who were affected. So if you have not given any money yet and you don't know where to give money, I guess this is as good a place as any. So if you want to copy and paste that link from Nicole and make a donation, it's all going to the right place. So thank you, Nicole.
Okay. All right. We can move on.
Yes.
Yeah. Just our thoughts with everyone there. It's just the worst thing ever. Okay. All right. All right. Clean slate. Let's talk about the market. So I view this as, are we even technically in correction territory? I view this as the best possible reason for a stock market sell-off. And the TLDR is that there are going to be...
Wait, what's the reason?
I'm literally...
Oh, okay. It's the best reason, but that was a tease. You're going to tell us the reason.
The reason is that due to the strength of the economy, the Federal Reserve is going to have to cut rates fewer times than was originally anticipated, and higher terminal rates, higher borrowing costs, lower stocks, whatever. I think the market was looking for an excuse to sell, and what better possible reason for a sell-off for the end investor than, the economy is too strong, the Fed's not going to be as accommodative. It's beautiful. Now, we'll see. I'm not saying that it's like, over and there's no risk. Of course, there's always risks. But I view this as the best possible reason for a stock market sell-off. So last week on TCAF, we used some charts for Todd Sohn. It was a spaghetti chart. It was all of the S&P 500 paths in the year 3 of a bull market. And Todd is back again with a better follow-up to this image. So we're in year 3 of a bull market, chart on. So year 1, we're looking at the average versus where this bull market started. So a little bit of an underperformance relative to the average year for a bull market in year 1. Year 2 blew away the average year 2.
Oh, wow.
And year 3 tends to be choppy, which it makes a lot of sense, okay? Stocks can't go up forever and ever and ever. Like, this just makes intuitive sense. So I love how Todd broke this down. Do you love this too, Josh?
I do. And just like you say finance and I say finance.
Okay.
You say choppy, I say consolidation.
Okay. Tomato.
Right?
I can go either way. Yeah.
Year 3 on average is a year of consolidating the gains of the prior year. Doesn't mean giving it all back. Also doesn't mean screaming vertically higher just because everybody's chasing. It's kind of like a back and fill kind of situation. Doesn't mean we'll get it. That would be, I agree. That is the best case scenario.
Yeah, I'd sign up
for that. The best
for
case scenario is not plus 20% this year.
No, that would set us
then we're crashing.
Then we're crashing.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. I love this idea, but can we back up? Are we both sold on this idea that the reason the market is selling is the economy is too strong for more rate cuts? Because I think it's one.
Well, it's 2 reasons. It's that and
selling related, and nothing really more than that. And
wait, hold on.
I'll be proven right.
Hang on. You froze out. Did you just say that it was taxes? What is this shit you're making up now?
Yeah.
Taxes.
No, I'm not making it up. That's what I think happened.
Okay.
Wait, I froze.
You did.
Am I back?
You're back. Okay. So the reason why the stock market is selling off, and I can't prove this because, that's not how the market works. It's because the dollar is ripping and rates are ripping and there are fewer rate cuts priced into the market and it's selling off. And if you want to say taxes, all right, fine. But you're wrong.
Well, I look at what's going up and what's going down. And what I saw
what a concept.
Late last week. What?
Go ahead.
No, what I saw last week was a big drop in tech stocks, which were the biggest winners of last year, and nobody wanted to take gains in those stocks before December 31st. And then I saw rallies in healthcare and energy, both of which. Really?
Oh, yeah.
How?
All the way. I mean, this is just, come on. This is clown show. People just decide to take gains in January 1st because.
Hold on.
I'm not waiting for you. I'm not waiting. I'm keeping going. You could catch up. All right.
I got to go and come back. Stay here. Tell a joke. I got to go and come back.
Okay. So I apologize for Josh's lousy internet, and I'm even more sorry that you had to listen to that nonsensical explanation for why stocks are selling off. So I will wait for Josh to get back for the show so that we can move on. No, I won't wait. Let's keep going. All right, John, chart on, please. So only 22% of stocks in the S&P 500, there you are. Josh, only 22% of stocks in the S&P 500 are above their 50-day, which is not quite a bullish washout. I had Chart Kid look at like where do stocks bottom or where does the S&P bottom in terms of like, so it's not quite there, but listen, this is good. It's a reset. It's a reset. You got to go lower before you go higher. That's how I roll.
Do you think my internet cut out because it knew I was going to say some crazy shit that was going to piss you off?
It was offended by what you already said. Forget about what you were going to say. All right, so let's look inside the market. So the equal weight S&P is in a 6.8% correction. Chart on, please, John. We've got Mag 7. Mag 7 taking it on the chin is a bit of a stretch, but it's giving you an opportunity.
No, it's legit, dude. It's 8.2%
yeah,
drawdown.
It's not nothing.
It's legit.
So Apple's giving some back, Nvidia's giving you a chance to get in, Microsoft, and then home builders are getting shellacked as people are, I guess, taking profits in tax. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Is that not a rate story too?
Yeah. Did you see the KB Homes earnings report? They're crushing it, dude. I think this sell-off in home builders is overdone. Look, I'm not one of these people that always thinks I'm smarter than the market. I know a head fake when I see one. We're not going to 8% mortgage rates. The Fed is not considering hiking.
Yeah.
The economy is not that great, like relative to last year. It's definitely not better. Corporate layoff news all over the tape over the last week or so. Actually, Neil Dutta collected a whole bunch, and it's Microsoft and it's Meta and it's also non-technology companies. Trimming 5% of the workforce, 10%, blah, blah, blah. Like we're not in 2023, and I don't believe that 10-year rally. I think it's fake, and I don't believe these home builders should be in a 16% drawdown. If you ask me, of these three trades, put that back up, equal weight S&P, Mag 7, home builders, of these three drawdowns, which one do I want to fade the most? I think it's XHB more than it's Mag 7.
Yeah, I agree.
You're with me on this?
I am with you on this, and I think the next chart. Well, I don't know if the next chart supports it.
Dude, we're no matter what happens in the 10-year, we are 5 million homes short of what we need based on existing demand, and we are in the midst of a demographic tailwind, the likes of which we haven't seen since the boomers were in their 20s.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And the rate doesn't change that reality. So if they want to knock these home builders down 15, 20% to start the year, I'm not a seller, I'm a buyer.
I agree with you. All right, a couple of months ago, we had Katie Stockton on. I think it was a Katie Stockton show, and the title of our show on YouTube was The Most Bullish Chart in the World. And I want to bring that chart back because I'm not worried about this sell-off at all. And this is the chart that's giving me confidence. Chart on, please. Okay, what we're looking at are the equal-weighted version of consumer discretionary stocks, which is really important because XLY, or the cap-weighted version, is basically half Tesla and Amazon. Okay, so you equal weight the consumer discretionary names, and in the denominator are the equal-weighted consumer staples names. And over the past 5, 3, and 1 year, it's up and to the right. No give back whatsoever. This is something that you do not see in a bear market, to quote the great J.C. Peretz.
Now, you equal weight the discretionaries because if you don't, you end up with an Amazon Tesla chart. Do I have that right?
That's right, sir.
Okay. So by equal weighting it, you get a more representative look of discretionary stocks, of which there are many well-known companies. Just most of them are in $1 trillion plus. Equal weight the staples is probably just for symmetry, because I think you have a lot more market cap parity there than you have on the discretionary side.
Yes, but I would say the weighted average market cap in consumer and XLP is significantly higher, right? Because you've got Costco, you've got Walmart, you've got.
Yeah, I guess.
But nevertheless,
right, so you have to do it. So you have to do it for both anyway.
Apples to apples. It's apples to apples.
Yeah. Oh, I like that chart. A lot of love for Katie Stockton in the chat. We haven't seen her in a while.
No. We had her on in the fourth quarter. No, I don't know. Time guys.
I don't think so.
Okay, maybe you're right.
I think in the summer we got to get her back. Shout out to Katie. The Barron's Roundtable.
You've participated, so be careful.
I know. I was never in the Barron's Roundtable.
You aren't? I went with you.
No. Barron's Roundtable? No
What
way.
did we do?
They would never put me in this.
We went. This must be 10 years ago. Savita was there. Chanos was there.
Okay. That was the Fortune magazine.
Okay.
It was less roundtable. It was more like a look ahead. and I was hosting it. I wasn't. I was like asking. I was like Vanna White.
Yeah, nobody gave a shit about your pitches. You were the
care
moderator.
what I thought.
All right, so fire away. Let's throw some arrows.
I'm so torn. I love Barron's. I'm a subscriber my entire life, like back to 1998. It was the first thing somebody told me to subscribe to when I got into the business, and I never canceled.
You know what's so funny? I went to
I'm the last Barron's subscriber.
I went to the Merrick Library. This was probably 2007 or 2008. And I'm trying to learn about the market. And I'm like, do you have Barron's magazine?
The Merrick Library. Did they?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Oh, you did? All right.
Yeah.
I like Barron's. I like all the writers. I like the editors. I like the covers. For me, it's like one of the last traditions left from the early days of my career.
Yeah.
I got to be honest. I don't read it. I don't read it cover to cover the way I used to, and that's not partially my fault because I'm too busy.
No, dude, that's a reflection of you, not them. Like,
no, I think it's a reflection of the times we live in. They used to only publish on Friday night or Saturday morning. Now they're publishing 7 days a week like everyone else.
right.
And there's nothing special about like, oh, let me read this article because it came out on
True.
Tuesday.
True.
So it's not the same experience, and it's not their fault. The roundtable is severely problematic, and these are some of the smartest people, maybe ever, on Wall Street. So this is no disrespect.
That being said,
Hang on, Bill Priest, John Rogers, David Giroux, Henry Ellenbogen,
Rowan Garter.
Merrill Whitmer, Mario Gabelli, Scott Black, Abby Joseph Cohen. These are like brilliant
Legends.
people.
Yeah.
So this is no disrespect to anyone. But all right, so they do their like how many bulls, how many bears do we have in the house? It's like the most consensus. It's like listen to the reasoning that they give. This is like watching an hour of CNBC basically. Here. First to the bears, why their gloom. Levitating bond yields, which reflect fears of insurgent inflation, levitated equity valuations, price for perfection, inexorable growth of government debt, policy uncertainty, Trump. It's not, thanks.
Right.
So, and it's not, again, not their fault. It's just like not that interesting because we're in a 24/7 financial news cycle now. It's not their fault. This is the time. The optimists, guess what they say? AOI. Strong economy, double-digit earnings growth, government deregulation, wave of M&A, widespread adoption of AI. It'll be choppy, but ingredients for more gains. Again, it's 30 minutes of CNBC, basically. It's just like ingest everything everyone else is saying, and then here's like the all right. So I don't love that. Again, it's not their fault. It's just that time has marched on. This is what they should maybe stop doing. The picks are so bad. Like they do, and credit to Barron's, they do a report card for the prior year, and they tell you everything. Like this is what this person said in January. Here were their picks, and here's how they did. And can I tell you something? None of them look good. It's like 12 people. What?
Last year was like the worst year for stock pickers ever.
Fine. But it's beyond bad. And I wanted to get your take on why. And I'm not picking on Abby Joseph Cohen, who I have a ton of respect for, but let's just use her as an example because I think she's probably the longest tenured person. So I've talked to people at Goldman. I know how the sausage gets made. It's like November and Abby's handler is like, hey, she's going to be there early January for the roundtable. Let's get some picks. And then like maybe she sort of shapes like what sectors, but for the most part, it's like the analysts at Goldman like come up with their like best ideas to give to Abby. And then she studies them and shows up at the hotel ballroom and lays them out. And here they were. This was January 2024 picks. Chevron, total return 0.6%.
Pfizer, who would buy that?
Pfizer, total return minus 4.3%. Estee Lauder, minus 43.7%. I mean, it's almost impossible to do this. Linus Rare Earths, which trades in Australia, minus 4.2%. Nippon Prologis REIT, negative 14.9%. One positive, Japan Hotel REIT investment, 6.8. But wait, there's more, unfortunately. Next slide. So then they bring these people back in June for the mid-year update. And it's like worse. So new picks, Samsung, negative 39%. Spider S&P Value, 5.4% positive. National Vision Holdings, EYE, never heard of it, negative 14%. iShares FTSE 250, which is UK, negative 0.6%. So there's two gains out of, what is that? Is that 11 picks, two gains? Even the gains vastly underperform the S&P. I think these international stocks underperform the international markets too.
All right. Stock picking is hard.
Like, in other words, in 24, there's not a lot of Samsungs, negative 39%. It's almost like, I don't think you could do this if you tried. Like, I don't think you could be this wrong if you tried. And again, they all look terrible. So it's not just about the notorious AJC. I just think this is an impossible task. I don't think I would do better than that. I don't think that I would be good at this exercise. And I'm starting to think the problems here. Let me hear what you think are the problems here, and then I'll tell you what I think.
What are the problems with what? Picking 10 stocks for the
Just
year?
the exercise itself, and B, the way the stock pickers are carrying it out.
I think that stock picking is always and forever really difficult.
Well, granted, but that's why people are interested in stock picks.
And I think that 2024 was a particularly brutal year, as have been a lot of the last years. Let's be honest. It's been a really difficult environment because all you need to do is own the Mag 7 in hindsight, right? Like, so what do you think?
So
I just
disagree.
With
There are hundreds of stocks that were up double digits last year. Like, so many.
Okay, so what's the problem?
I understand the Mag 7 did really well last year, but Microsoft went up like low double digit, like 10 or 12%. It's not like 7 stocks went up and everything went down.
Right. Okay, so what's
Off
the problem?
the top of my head, I could tell you 50 big stocks that went up huge last year. I think there's a couple of elements to this. First of all, I think the roundtable itself is more heavily value investors than growth investors. Mm-hmm. I think there are a few token growth investors, but I think it's like very steeped in the tradition of value investing. And so right off the bat, over the last 20 years, there haven't been a lot of years where value has done better than growth. So it's not that value stocks can't work. A lot of value stocks worked really well last year. It's that the pond has less fish in it. Like, you're fishing in the wrong pond, especially in a year like last year. So I think that's one element. Then it looks like people are playing the game as though there are extra points awarded for difficulty.
Right.
Here's a fucking precious metals company in Australia.
Yeah.
What are we doing here?
Yeah.
No one, I guarantee you, nobody read Barron's and bought that stock.
Okay, counterpoint. If they give you Apple, don't you think people will be like, why are you recommending the second biggest stock in the world?
I'm so glad you said that. I think that people would prefer to see that work out and not make fun of it like, oh, thanks, you told me Apple. But again, and by the way, if you look at some of the people for the mid-year update, they showed up with Oracle and Netflix and whatever. Like, in other words, people picked the most bizarre things they could think of in January. Deep value, like Japanese property, and then they came back in June with like Mag 7.
Yeah.
Look, to recap, I think this needs to be done differently. I think it would be more fun if there were a virtual investing ongoing thing where you could log into Barron's and see this stuff in real time, and let these guys and gals make trades intra-year. Because think about how hard the exercise is. Pick a stock in December or January that you're going to want to stick with for the whole year because it's your report card.
Right.
Like, who could literally do that? What if the news changes? I feel like they're setting I like Mario Gabelli. I like Abby Joseph Cohen. Scott Black. These people are brilliant, and I look up to them. And I feel like this exercise is setting them up to fail. They're probably less upset about it than I am, by the way. But as a fan of Barron's, as a fan of the people on the roundtable, I really want to see them do this differently.
So what would you propose?
I would do virtual portfolio.
Come on, you want them to have paper portfolios?
Yeah. And because I want them to have the opportunity to make changes throughout the course of the year. Maybe not unlimited changes, but it's 2025. Everything is real time.
Okay, counterpoint. And this is a sample size of one, but our boy Eddie, Crossing Wall Street, the buy list, once a year.
That's just a savant. You can't compare anyone to Eddie Elfenbein. Come on. Look, I'm just saying it's not 1998 anymore where this stuff is in dry ink. Like, people will check the website every week to see who's leading. Like, make it fun, make it competitive. I'll jump in and do it if they think it would help. Let's put some life into this and make it winnable. Otherwise, it's just embarrassing. And I feel like they're setting people up to look stupid. None of these people are stupid. So I was a little disappointed with this. And maybe they'll do the mid-year differently. Maybe somebody will listen to me and reconsider. I don't know. Any other thoughts on this?
Nope.
Okay.
All right. Where are we going next? Let's talk about self-driving cars. So this is a quote from Jensen Huang via the transcript. Right now, the self-driving car business is already a $5 billion business for us. Imagine how big it's going to be when we have 100 million new cars per year. Wait, what? That sounds weird. Okay.
100 million new cars.
Wait, what? Literally?
How many cars are sold?
Bro.
Is it
100 million?
How many cars are sold in the world each year?
Did AOI write this? Anyway, this is likely to become one of the largest robotics industries in the world and one of the largest computing industries.
Yeah, I fully believe that autonomous vehicles are a blockbuster line of business for NVIDIA. And one of the main reasons for this that's so interesting is that, yes, you need the cloud for autonomous vehicles, but you also need a ton of hardware on the car itself, because I want you to imagine a scenario where the car is barreling toward a pedestrian who's maybe crossing the street where they shouldn't. We don't have time for the car to talk to the cloud to get instructions about whether it should stop or swerve. That decision has to be made on the car level, which is chips in the car that are making that call. We can't have the cloud controlling what happens with the vehicles themselves. So, of course, this is a huge opportunity for semiconductors. It might be, and it might arguably be, in the fullness of time, one of the biggest.
So the chat is saying 90 million cars produced a year. So, okay.
All right. So maybe, so why are we second guessing?
Far be it from us, you dumb asshole. Okay. So Eric Newcomer, whose Substack I subscribe to, did a post on these self-driving cars. And this chart is a face blower, Josh. I got to tell you, we're looking at the San Francisco operating zone market share of gross bookings, and Uber's steady, 60-ish%. But coming up the rear, out of nowhere, from zero, is Waymo, and it is taking share from Lyft. And I feel like this is under-discussed and underappreciated, the fact that there is magic in the world, and we don't see this in New York, so maybe it's sort of out of sight, out of mind, but this shit is like happening. There are self-driving cars. Magic.
100%. I shared with you the Zoox carriage.
Yeah.
That is now ferrying people back and forth from the airport to hotels in Las Vegas. Zoox is wholly owned by Amazon. It looks like something out of Cinderella, but futuristic. It's got no front and no back. There's a windshield on both ends of the thing because it's bi-directional. It could drive forward or backward. Like, the people sitting in the car are facing each other. They're not oriented toward one direction or the other. The doors are sliding doors on both sides, so you can get out of this thing on whichever side the traffic isn't, like wherever the sidewalk happens to be on the left or the right. That's not futuristic. That's right now. At CES last week, Zoox was giving tech journalists rides to the various events they had to be at. And there's no human driver. There's no steering wheel. There's no gas pedal. There's no driver's seat. It's not a car that became autonomous. It's literally born autonomous. And I agree with you. It
People
looks
like to
magic.
scoff, like, "Oh, we were promised flying cars." Like, dude, nobody's talking about. I know people are, but you know what I mean. Like, it's not. It's a much bigger deal than I think it's getting attention for, because we only have time to focus on the negative.
Yeah. Oh, we were promised flying car. Where are you going in a flying car, dumbass? You're not that important. Nobody needs you there any faster than you already get there. You ever notice it's that guy? All right. I think so this is really meaningful to me, this topic, because I'm long Uber, and Uber has expressed that their place in the future of autonomous taxis is they want to be the hub, and all of the companies that own the autonomous rides will be different spokes.
Well, they plug into their network.
Yeah. So look, it costs a ton of money to put these cars on the road.
Yeah.
I know long term it's more cost effective because you don't have the human driver. You don't have the meat in the front that has to get healthcare. So I understand that. But in the short term, the CapEx here is off the charts.
Yeah.
So you want your autonomous car to have as many opportunities to make money as possible. And the way that's going to work, I think, is that Uber has the capacity and has the riders. The risk in Uber is that Waymo sidesteps them and just says, what do we need you for? We have enough people booking directly on the Waymo app. So that fear has knocked Uber down from 87 to 60.
Well, I bought it.
You bought what?
Uber.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I own both stocks, but that fear, it's a legitimate concern.
What both stocks? What, you mean like Google?
Yeah, I own Alphabet and I own Uber, but so Waymo's worth $45 billion in the private market. They raised $5.8 billion 2 weeks ago from Andreessen and like all the names. They're all in it. So Alphabet doesn't completely own the whole thing, but they control its destiny. And Waymo is going to be everywhere.
Yeah.
That's it. Like it's going to be. It might not be Midtown Manhattan like tomorrow. So one thing
Well, it'll be in all the major cities. Like it's not going to be in rural areas, but it'll be in all the major cities.
It'll be where you need
Manhattan.
It'll be where you need it to be.
So this stood out to me though, because this is I don't know how you scale this or how you solve this issue. So here's a quote from the article: "No matter what, someone has to take care of the cars," said Josh Maurer, a former Uber executive who managed the company's first push into New York. Maurer told us he's skeptical of Waymo's ability to scale in no small part because of the messy car issue. In contrast to a house-sharing platform like Airbnb, the turnover between Waymo users is minutes, not days, which doesn't leave much room for cleaning, he noted. So what happens if some drunk idiot vomits in the car? Like the car's like busted forever, you know what I mean? Like that shit doesn't come out.
Yeah. So there's a whole list of what happens if, and ultimately it's messy at first, but those issues get solved. I will say that
that's a tricky issue, man.
Fleet maintenance is a business, and Uber is in a position uniquely to offer fleet maintenance to 10 different autonomous vehicle companies. Like that's what you're pointing out is a huge issue. If the cars don't have an owner, like a driver who's responsible for the car and has an economic stake in it, who's going to take care of it? Nobody. So you can count on people having perfect etiquette and not taking out their gum and sticking it to the seat. Like you can count on that, or you could ask the next question, which is, chi bene? Who benefits? Who is positioned to service these vehicles for money? And I think that could be an avenue where Uber makes the case to Waymo, you need us as a partner because we're in market, we have facilities, we have companies that we work with that do this sort of fleet maintenance, and your cars are going to need not just cleaning, but servicing, and you might not want to build all that infrastructure yourself. So let's put up this Uber chart. So at $86, I was beating my chest like I won the Super Bowl. And then this prick, Elon, comes out and makes his Cybercab announcement, and the stock tumbled. It's since recovered. I think the Cybercab was sort of underwhelming, the spectacle of it, which was over the summer. But the stock really hasn't come back. Uber really has not come back yet. So I think people are genuinely worried that there are going to be enough autonomous cabs that go right around them. And maybe it's we'll find out. Maybe it's a legitimate concern, and I'm just talking my book and I'm wrong. I guess we'll all find out together.
Okay, moving on. What do you got? Oh, me. This is still me. Okay, it's me again. All right. So not we. The general population spends a lot of time vilifying and demonizing billionaires, and I just want to take a second to give a shout to the GOAT billionaire, Warren Buffett. So this flew under the radar because I guess whatever, nobody cares. But a couple of weeks ago, actually a couple months ago, it was back in November, he announced that he's converting 1,600 A shares into 2.4 billion shares. I'm sorry, 2.4 million B shares in order to give these B shares to 4 family foundations. 1.5 million, doesn't really matter where they're going. But he said, the gifts I'm making today reduce my holdings of Berkshire Hathaway Class A shares to 206,000, a 56% decrease since my 2006 pledge. So Warren Buffett is giving away tens of billions of dollars. And I bring this up because I wanted to give a plug to Warren Buffett, but also to our friend Alex Morris, who wrote a book called Buffett and Munger Unscripted. And what Alex did painstakingly, and I haven't read the book yet, but I'm excited to, was he watched, because they became available, Alex watched all, I think it's 30-something years of Berkshire annual meetings, and he grabbed the best shit from it. So I would highly recommend it. And in addition, because Alex is a mensch, he's giving 50% of after-tax net proceeds to charity. So credit to Warren Buffett and credit to Alex Morris for following in his footsteps.
Yeah. So on the audio Compound and Friends pod, I covered this. I covered this announcement. I think I did this with Bill Sweet, maybe. So the money is going to his kids' foundations. There's 4 foundations. His children, I'm calling them kids, they're in their 70s. Yeah. His children have dedicated their lives to philanthropy. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that Warren Buffett said is like, I don't know exactly how the money's going to be used. I just know that I trust my children to do the right thing with it. I don't need to micromanage every decision because they were born into this philanthropic role and they've been doing it for decades. And I think the other thing that's crazy is like he probably never expected the valuation of his holdings to appreciate at the rate that it has.
Yeah.
Like he undershot how much money he would have by now. But one of the things he said in that letter, which I thought was funny, bittersweet funny, is like, my kids might die. He's like, originally the goal was I would die and then my kids would have decades to give it away. But now they're in their 70s. I'm almost 100. I got to accelerate this and do it now. So I thought that was kind of interesting. We're gonna make the case. And then you're going to do a mystery chart, and we'll get out of here. I have a secret stock for you.
Oh, a secret stock. Okay.
Do you like secrets?
No, I hate them, to be honest.
Okay. Well, I'm going to tell you one. And you and the rest of the Compound viewers.
Okay.
This is a secret company that nobody knows about. It has 2 or 3 analysts covering it, barely. People aren't even writing about this on Seeking Alpha. It almost doesn't exist. And it's $25 billion in market cap right now. Let's put this up. The ticker symbol is UI. The name of the company is Ubiquity. Just looking at the chart alone, I know you've never heard of it. Just looking at the chart alone, is this a buy or a sell?
Come on, you know the answer to that question.
How good does this look?
Yeah.
Stupid, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Have you ever heard of the company? Have you ever heard anyone talk about it, even if you don't know what it is?
Nope.
Okay. I'm going to tell you why it's a secret. A very, very closely kept secret that I think is starting to get out. It's 2 companies in one. Number one, it's a very small, slow growth product provider for tiny internet service providers. So it sells equipment to like little ISPs. But number two, the reason why the stock is ripping is because it's got an enterprise products group that effectively starts off giving people internet access wherever they are, like rural places or all over the world, places where Wi-Fi coverage is spotty. You set up this equipment and you can build ubiquitous Wi-Fi wherever you are. That's why it's called Ubiquity. Millions of customers for their products. Unify is the brand name that you most frequently see these products sold under. And a software platform that is now enabling people to connect not only devices sold by Ubiquity, but other third-party devices, security cameras, for example. And now there's a whole AI angle to the story. So just the network that people set up for themselves, enabling them to do a lot more with it and connect a lot more devices. The founder is this guy, Robert Pera. He worked at Apple for 2 years, from 03 to 05. And then he realized, I want to build my own products and make my own Apple. I don't want to sit here and work under Tim Cook. So he left Apple as basically a kid, and he started building this company. He owns 93% of the shares outstanding. So only 7% of the shares of Ubiquity are freely traded in the market. Came public in 2011. The old symbol was UBNT. A year after the IPO, he bought the Memphis Grizzlies. So he bought the Memphis Grizzlies for $300 million, which now is probably worth, I don't know.
Why did he even go public? I've never heard of such a thing.
It's crazy because it's secret. So at the time, in 2011, he needed capital to build these products. Like, we're talking about physical, this is not internet shit. This is not like software. These are like devices that are enabling people to build their own Wi-Fi wherever they are. So he needed to raise capital. So he raised $30 million in an IPO, bought the Grizzlies a year later, became the youngest owner in NBA history. I think he was 33 years old. And then he disappeared. I mean, off the grid, man. Black ops. I'm telling you, he disappeared. He's never done an interview. He's never been on CNBC or Bloomberg. He never talks to the Wall Street Journal. No conference calls. No shareholder letter. Literal. Doesn't even talk to customers. He spends all his time in R&D building better and better products, and the word gets out amongst the users who become the evangelists for Ubiquity's products. He basically disappeared, and this company, while he's been gone, has ballooned to a $23 billion valuation. He is the most invisible tech billionaire CEO. If he owns 93% of $23 billion, he's worth $17 billion?
Sounds like Kaiser Sose.
Yeah. He does show up at Grizzlies games, and there's like one photograph of him high-fiving Justin Timberlake.
Is he bald? No,
who's
he's not
part.
bald.
That's him in the black suit.
Okay. Oh, he looks
So
very young.
you will never see him anywhere. There have only been 2 episodes in recent history where people have seen him publicly. One is Andrew Left alleged that this was a fraud in 2017. Pull that chart up.
Sounds vaguely familiar.
You see the first arrow, September 2017. That's where Citron put out a short report and said there was like a revenue recognition scam with the accounting. The stock is obviously substantially higher since then. During COVID, everybody wanted to turn their house into an office. So everybody was buying Ubiquity's Wi-Fi products, and you could see the stock went crazy. And then they had all of these problems because they couldn't get microchips, just like the auto manufacturers. They had out-of-stock products. They had like a huge manufacturing issue, and they just like completely crashed. The stock in the last 6 months has come all the way back and is now about to break above the COVID high.
So you claim.
Well, what do you think is going to happen here?
I don't know.
If you had to guess.
So let me ask you this. I mean, I know you're not actually making a stock.
I'm not in the stock right now.
But like, you can't buy this. Come on.
I have one thing I want to show you before you make that decision. John.
If you please.
This is his house on I think it's Star Island, in Miami. Of course,
Right,
it is.
Now I want to buy it.
Do you see that big building in the back with the solar panels on the top?
I do,
the
Josh.
rectangle.
I do.
That's an indoor, full basketball court with bleachers, locker rooms, and its own jumbotron. John, do we have a picture of the jumbotron? You can see this thing lit up from like a half a mile away. His neighbors were bitching and moaning about this thing being lit all night. This is the jumbotron inside of his home basketball court. You know who his neighbors are? Diddy, who's probably not complaining right now. Anyway, this is the stock that no one's ever heard of that is now large enough to qualify for the S&P 500. He doesn't talk to the stockholders. He doesn't give conference calls. Nobody has any idea what's going on with it, and it just goes up and up. And I just think this is like one of the most secretive publicly traded companies I've ever seen or heard of. Have you ever seen anything like this?
Mm-mm.
How many shares can I put you down for, sir?
0.
Why wouldn't you buy it?
Look, I don't buy charts like that. Sorry.
Was it too parabolic?
Yeah.
They had a great earnings report in November, but that can't explain that whole thing, can it?
I don't know, man. Taxes? What's the opposite of taxes? I don't know. I'm out. Listen, it's a great story. Good pitch.
I don't give financial advice on this channel, so please, nobody buy this or any stock we mention. I currently have no position here. Okay. I'm just fascinated by it.
Yeah, no, this is remarkable.
All right. Hit me with a mystery chart.
Okay, sir. So, you know the tendency for people to only focus on the negative, right? This is like...
Yeah.
Yeah. So this mystery chart is a great example of that. And this is a very obvious mystery chart. So whatever, I just want to talk about the story. So this business had a massive, massive hiccup. I think that's understating it, in 2024. And it was headlines. It was responsible for a lot of outages and shit like that. And the stock fully recovered, basically, and nobody cares.
Well, at outage,
I know you care.
Talking about CrowdStrike.
Yeah.
All right, let's do the reveal. Give me my drum roll and my applause.
But it's all the way back. Nobody cares. Nobody talks about it.
You know, you and I are going to have a debate on Thursday on Compound and Friends. We don't have time for this now.
What, with the guest? Or you?
Yeah,
and I
we'll include the guest, but you and I just have such a different worldview.
I'm not going to debate, Jerry. I'm not going to debate.
No, we are going to debate. Well,
no,
otherwise,
that's a far
otherwise it's no fun. We have to have a debate.
All right, go ahead. What are we debating?
Do you know what kind of balls it took to hold this CrowdStrike thing through that summer, where it looked like they sabotaged the company forever? You're going to tell me there's no skill whatsoever involved in not selling?
I'm not talking about that.
Well, we are going to talk about it Thursday. We don't have time to get into it today.
But you're moving the goalposts of the argument that we had.
I think it takes a lot of guts to stick with a CrowdStrike, and some of us didn't, and some of us did, and we're gonna have to leave it there. Hey, everybody! Did you know tomorrow is Wednesday, which means my favorite podcast, Animal Spirits, is up with an all-new episode. It's Michael Batnick, it's Ben Carlson, What Not to Like. We'll have a new Ask the Compound Thursday and an all-new Compound and Friends on Friday. Please keep it locked. We appreciate you, and we'll talk to you soon.